What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and tonight I've got some football focus. Tonight was the Week 17 matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals in a divisional game to decide the AFC North between the Steelers and the Ravens. This was the final game for the Steelers of the season, so my final football focus for Steeler reviews this season. I will do a season-ending wrap-up video where I talk about the roster, give some stats, who performed this season, who did not, who we need to add, who we should cut. I will do that at some point, maybe next week for you guys. But football focus tonight, the Steelers played the Bengals, and two things had to happen for the Steelers to get in the playoffs and win the AFC North today. Pittsburgh had to beat the Bengals, and the Browns had to beat the Ravens. So imagine everybody in Pittsburgh was cheering for the Browns today. Definitely you wouldn't have expected that coming into the season. But you wouldn't have expected the Steelers to come into this game 8-6-1 either. I mean, it comes down to, at the end of the day, you can blame penalties, you can blame last week's loss all you want, but in reality, it's the fact that we were horrible in games decided by 5 points or less. We did not close out the season the way we should have. Close out the games this season the way we should have. We lost to a terrible Oakland team. We lost to a bad Denver team. We blew a huge lead against a Charger team. And then, of course, we had the turnover at the end of the game last week. We tied Cleveland to begin the season. So at least 4 games there we should have won that we did not win. So I'm not going to look at any one game or one situation as being the reason. Honestly, based on how we played this season and how bad our penalties and our turnovers and our game management all were this season, we didn't really deserve to be a playoff team, to be honest. We have the talent. We have one of the best rosters in the NFL. By and large, we had one of the best offenses in the NFL altogether. But again, when you blow a huge lead to San Diego, when you lose to a bad Raider team and a pretty bad Bronco team, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So despite the roster, we had a lot of problems this year. Penalties were a problem all season. For the first half of the year, we were one of the most penalized teams in the entire NFL. Turnovers all year have been a problem. Ben's been turning the ball over like crazy. Lots of fumbles. A lack of a third wide receiver haunted us this season. Clock management by Tomlin was a problem this season. Special teams with Boswell kicking and with a lack of return game from Switzer were a problem this season. Punting at one point this year was a problem. Getting pressure for the first half of the season was a problem. So many issues on both sides of the ball that you look at this talent and say, man, how in the world did this team not make the playoffs this year? Those are the reasons why. Looking at this game in particular, Pittsburgh did get a 16-13 victory. We pulled this game out. Once again, if you're thinking 16-13 sounds a little close, you are not alone. I agree with you. The Bengals are a depleted team, the most injured team in the entire NFL, playing this game without Andy Dalton, without A.J. Green, without Tyler Boyd, without Tyler Eifert, and without several players on defense. So the Bengals came into this game, I believe, 6-9, and the last ranked defense in the entire NFL. We, up until the midpoint of the third quarter, we had 3 points. 3 points. No offensive touchdowns. 1 field goal, and the offense gave up a pick 6 that Ben threw. So the offense was -4. We were outscored on our offense 7-3 in the middle of the third quarter. So this was a really putrid game, really disgusting game. We were down 10-0 for, again, almost 3/4 of the game. Really bad, putrid offense who just didn't show up at all. Until about 6 minutes left in the third quarter, all of a sudden we caught fire. But we played down to this team like crazy today. It reminded me of the Oakland and Denver game. We just didn't want it. And looking at the Cleveland score, Cleveland was pretty competitive with Baltimore at this time too. So they were taking care of their end of the business, and we weren't taking care of ours. Cleveland was up 10-3 at the half. Came out, and we finally caught fire at the end of the third quarter. The defense played well all day. As you see, Cincinnati only had 13 points on this day, 1 touchdown and 2 field goals, and the 1 touchdown they got was a pick 6 on Ben from Williams. So no offensive touchdowns all day, just 6 points by the Bengals offense. So our defense, big props to them. But again, you're playing a must-win game at home against a division foe who's only 6-9, who has the last ranked defense in the NFL. You're playing a terrible defense who's terribly injured at home in what is ostensibly a playoff game. And you put up this kind of effort through 3 quarters, really abysmal. I was ashamed of this offense and how poor they were. Antonio Brown could not play today. He was injured. But even without Brown, we had Connor back. We have Juju. We have plenty of options out there on offense. And we just did not show any kind of heart through most of this game on offense. But at the end of the day, Ben did come down with a nice drive in the middle of the third quarter, hit James Washington on a long pass downfield. Finally, he made a play. Then Juju goes in for the touchdown. So we did wind up rallying back 13 consecutive points in the third and fourth quarter to get up, To get up 13-10. The Bengals came down and tied it 13-13, and we had the ball with about maybe three or 4 minutes left. Came down and got the go-ahead field goal. Got to give our kicker credit, man. He came in today, and Forbath. I should know his name by now. I really should. But he looks like he's 10 years old. But he was excellent. He came in off the street. Start kicking this Friday. I should have wrote his name down. I was too concerned about the score of the Baltimore-Cleveland game, to be honest with you. But our kicker came in today 3 for 3, including a 47-yard field goal. Had 3 attempts today, made all 3, including the go-ahead game-winning field goal for us. So major props to that kicker, and I apologize for not having his name written down here. He is one of the stars of this game, especially in a tight game when we had to win. He came in on short notice and really just knocked it out of the park. He's a rookie who played Pittsburgh as his 3rd team this season. He played, I think, for Oakland and Arizona, and then now he's here. So just really coming off the street, 3 for 3, big clutch kicks. Excellent job. He is one of our biggest stars in this game. To give you guys some stats, there's not much to talk about stat-wise. Big Ben today did pass 5,000 yards in his career. It's his first time ever doing that. It's his all-time season high for passing yardage. He's the 7th quarterback in NFL history to ever get 5,000 yards. Congrats to him. He deserves it. 31 out of 45 for 287 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception that was returned for a touchdown. So 287, 1 and 1. James Conner, over 4 yards a carry, played pretty well today. Didn't get enough carries. They didn't go to him in some short situations. I was surprised. They used a lot of Jalen Samuels today, which I was surprised by as well. But Conner was coming off an injury and missed the last 3 games, so I guess they were trying to conserve him to get him back in the flow of the game, and just in case we had a playoff game next week. So James Conner, 14 carries, 64 yards. Also had a catch out of the backfield as well. So pretty solid day for him, even though he didn't get enough touches in my opinion. Receiver-wise, there wasn't much to talk about. Juju had the touchdown, but he was pretty quiet today. Eli Rogers was our leader. With Antonio being out, Rogers came out of the slot for, I think, 7 catches. And then James Washington was the receiving yards leader with the 1 long one. I think he had 67 yards. 1 really tight catch that he made, he got injured on. I'm not sure if he came back in the game, but he had 1 tight 10-yard catch downfield, and then he had another 30-plus with a double move downfield. So he made a few plays today. It's his second best game of the season. This game, and I think it was the Patriots game. He had 2 big games this year. So not nearly enough from him, but we're seeing glimpses now at the end of the season of what he can do downfield, showing good hands and good speed. And again, Eli Rogers, always good to have him back. He's a veteran now of the system in his 3rd year. He always is a reliable slot guy for us. I like him being our 3rd receiver. I think if he comes back healthy next year, if we have Brown, Juju, Eli, and James all healthy next year, and then you can throw Switzer in there at the 5 once in a while out of the backfield, I think you have a nice potent offense. So props to Eli and to James for making plays today. Defensively, LJ Fort, 4 tackles. He played a good game today. Not really high-strung. You're not going to hear a lot about his 4 tackles. They weren't major plays, but I like the energy he brings. He filled in today for Vince Williams, and I wasn't a big fan of his coming out of training camp this year. I was saying he should be one of those guys that was kind of cut. He didn't show me a lot in his previous seasons here, but this year was his best year coming in relief. I like what he's doing with his speed. His coverage has gotten better, and he's making plays when he's in there. He has been one of the pleasant surprises as a depth filler guy at linebacker. He's earned his spot on this team, and I want to see what he can do next year. So good for him. TJ Watt, big day today. A sack and 2 forced fumbles. Neither was recovered by the Steelers, but even still, forcing 2 fumbles and getting a sack. Watt has been our defensive captain this year. He's played very, very well. Sometimes you don't always see him, but even on the plays where he just gets pressure, makes a big difference. So, big, big day for him. Cam Hayward, 2 sacks today. He was a big player out there out of our 3.5. 2 sacks for Cam. He's made a nice push in the second half of the season after being quiet in the first half. And Stephon Tuitt had a half sack today as well. So the defensive line, all 3 of those guys, have looked really, really good. You couple Cam, Tuitt, and Hargrave along with Watt and sometimes Dupree. I think Dupree is our second or third sack number guy on the team. And so those 5 guys have kind of shown up. Dupree's kind of on the fence for returning next season, but he made some plays as well. So there's my shout-outs on defense. Not much to talk about other than that. We came back and had a gutsy win. Shouldn't have been as close as it was. 2.5 quarters of total inept and laziness on offense, but the defense played excellent. The coverage was good all day. Again, defensive pressure was good. Fort, Watt, Tuitt, Cam, those guys stood out. On offense, a couple of the slot guys made plays with Antonio being out, and Connor played pretty solid when he was in there as well. So very slow start, very aggravating start, but by the end of the third, we picked it up and outscored them 16-3 to end the game and win this game and go to 9-6-1. So I predicted 11-5 to start the season. 11-5 was what I said. I was a game and a half off. We finished 9-6-1, won the game, and of course, Cleveland was actually only down by 2 points. Baltimore was up 26-24. Cleveland had the ball with a chance to win about 5 yards away from the field goal line. They decided to go for it on 4th down to go for the first down, and Baker threw an interception. So Cleveland was only about 5 yards away from a game-winning field goal attempt with a minute left in the game, where we almost had that playoff run. If Cleveland would have pulled that field goal out and got 5 yards closer, we would have been in the playoffs right now, possibly. So, disappointing ending to a disappointing season. 9-6-1 with this team. Again, discipline, penalties, turnovers, time management, all those things need to be called into question. Tomlin needs called into question. Keith Butler needs fired at the end of the season. Artie Burns obviously wound up being a bust. Hayward Bay can be fired. He didn't do anything this year. You can look at a couple other guys like Bud Dupree and see about him as well. Many guys to call to the carpet. We need better kicking as well. Boswell might be gone now, especially after today. We need Jordan Berry to be more consistent. We need better play out of our linebackers overall, coverage-wise especially. There are so many things we need to look at, but even still a winning season at 9-6-1, this close to the playoffs. What did you guys think of today's game? What did you think of Cleveland versus Baltimore? Are you as pained in your chest and sore in your throat as I am? I hope you guys enjoyed my reviews this season. I got a lot of views on YouTube. Thank you for the feedback and the views. I will be bringing you guys at some point, either this week or next week. I'll bring you guys the end of season stats, and I'll talk about who needs to stay, who needs to go, who needs more of an opportunity, who we need to sign or draft in the off season. So I will come back with you guys with that next week. Happy New Year, guys. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe, and I will see you guys in 2019 with more videos and more football focus.